On this video, I'm going to be doing a full guide to aiming and winning gunfights, so if you have any problems with aiming or if you already have good aim and want to improve further, this video is for you. And starting with the first out of 5 topics I'll be going over to improve your aim, we have your settings. The first thing in settings I'm going to go over is your FOV. This affects your aim a lot more than people think, and as a person who played on 90 FOV since the FOV slider has came out, switching to 81 FOV has helped my aim tremendously. And the reason for this is the more zoomed in the screen is, the bigger the person you're shooting at is going to be. And obviously hitting a bigger target is going to be easier. So for me and a lot of players, 81 to 84 is the sweet spot for FOV. Now this is preference, and if you're more comfortable with 90 FOV, then go ahead. It's definitely better than something like 60 or 70 FOV. So what I would recommend is trying out ranges from 80 to 90 and choosing what's best for you. But the next thing in settings I'll be going over is your sensitivity. Now everything when it comes to your sensitivity is preference. Some people might be comfortable with my sense, some people are comfortable with 20 vertical and 100 horizontal. It's just down to how your thumbs or your arm moves. Now I've made videos on how to find your perfect sensitivity by going through certain drills and adjusting your sense. You can watch that after this video, but really what it comes down to is finding a sense that you're comfortable with and sticking with it so your muscle memory can master the sensitivity. If you constantly change your sensitivity, you're ruining your muscle memory and it just makes it harder for yourself, so just find a comfortable sense and stick with it. And something that's just as important as your settings is your warm-up routine. This is arguably the most important aspect to aiming. Warming up doesn't just help you get ready to play. When you warm up effectively, you're practicing and improving your aim at the same time. But even though it's important, you have to make it a routine if you want to actually improve and have good aim. The best ways to warm up for console and PC is the shooting range, free-for-all, and endless drill. These 3 modes will allow you to practice all aspects of aiming, including flicking, tracking, recoil control, in-game experience, and much more. So I'm going to hop into each mode and give you a rundown on how to effectively use each one. Starting with the endless drill, this is pretty simple. Just choose a map, go in, and kill the targets. One thing I'll say about this is when you're going around killing the targets, you can do it normally, where you just go around with good crosshair placement and just do it normal. But then after that, you can go around putting your crosshair away from the target so you can get more flicking practice, because in-game your crosshair is not going to be perfectly lined up on the enemy every time, so you can get a lot of in-game practice by using this method. And the main use for endless drill in my routine is just to get my hands warm and get in the mindset for playing Siege. But the next mode I go into for my routine is shooting range. This is going to be the best way to practice pure aim and just moving your crosshair onto a target and shooting. The way you can do this is by using any of the different sections that you find fit. But for me, I just use the damage lane for recoil control practice and the aiming lane for aim practice. Now obviously there's many different ways you can do this, but I'm just going to show you what I do. First, for the recoil section, I just shoot at this dummy just to get the feel for the recoil and just get the feel for controlling recoil. And if you want to learn a specific gun's pattern, all you have to do is come over here to this target, and then you just want to shoot the gun without controlling the recoil at all. And as you can see for the F2, it's pretty straight up and down, and then it goes off to the right. So to control the gun's recoil, you basically want to do the opposite of the pattern. So for the F2, basically what you would do is hold down and then to the left. And as you can see, pretty decent recoil control. And you can obviously get better and better the more you do it, and it's just going to become muscle memory. And you can do this for any gun that you want to learn and you want to get better with controlling recoil. And I just do this for about a minute before going over to the aiming lane. And in the aiming lane, you want to come over here to options and pick your settings. These are the settings that I use. You can copy them down if you want. Just go through hitting the targets, and you want to go for speed over precision, as when you're in game, you can't just slowly line up your crosshair to the enemy. You have to react quickly. So I just go through this 1 or 2 times, and now I'm just going to show you the last thing I would recommend for warming up. So for free-for-all, this one's also super simple. Just load in, go around killing as many people as possible. This is going to give you the best in-game gunfight experience, so you don't want to just sit in a corner and not fighting anybody. You want to play aggressive as possible to get as much fighting practice as possible. You can just go through 1 or 2 of these. If you look at all the top players, especially on console, they all just spam free-for-alls and play free-for-alls all day, because it's really probably the best way to just get in-game gunfight experience and help your aim in-game. And that's really all to the routine I recommend. This seems like it would take longer than it really does, and you can just adjust how long you warm up according to how long you're going to play the game. If you only have 1 hour, obviously don't spend half of it warming up and practicing your aim. But if you do have some time and you really want to have good aim, you're going to need to warm up and you're going to need to practice your aim. Now the next mistake I'm going over is one of the main reasons a lot of players have bad aim, and it's crosshair placement. This is one of the most important aspects to having good aim, and a lot of people don't pay attention to it enough. And I'll be going over some situations where even a lot of experienced players players make crosshair placement mistakes. Now to start off, your crosshair placement should almost always be at head level. The reason for this is so you can easily get headshots, especially since Siege is a one-shot headshot game. But a lot of people forget this and they end up messing up their crosshair placement, whether it be from them going crouched or prone or just in general just messing up their crosshair placement. Now think about it. Having your crosshair head level makes it much easier to aim for the head. You always want to be aiming for the head in 90% of situations, so just having your crosshair at head level is going to give you a pretty big advantage if your enemy is not. And like I said, a lot of people will have good crosshair placement and then one thing will mess it up and then it makes their aim bad. So a lot of people, when they go crouched, they let their crosshair go down with them. Now this will be good if the enemy is also crouching, but you don't have that information, so just put your crosshair head level as well. And if you want a super easy way to have your crosshair head level at all times and just have it be muscle memory, just go up to a barricaded door and find this buckle right here. And if you put your crosshair lined up with that buckle and just go around the map pre-aiming on doors, it's always going to be head level. No matter where I go, I can just pre-aim my crosshair on doorways and common angles and it's always going to be head level. And keep in mind, there is times where your crosshair placement shouldn't be head level. Like if I know a person's one shot or if I know that they're crouched, I'm obviously going to aim lower because it's easier to hit a body shot compared to a headshot. And when they're one shot, all you need is one shot to the body, so you might as well aim for the body when they're one shot or when they're crouched. Another thing that should be second nature to you is isolating angles. Not isolating angles is a really common mistake a lot of players make, and it's going to make it harder for you to aim, convincing you that your aim is bad. And isolating angles just means instead of swinging out with your whole body exposed, you quick peek and isolate each angle. Now, the best way to do this is by quick peeking, but if you can't quick peek, you can kind of just strafe. But quick peeking is definitely the most effective way to do this. A lot of people will rush this step and end up exposing themselves too much. And then on top of that, if you do rush this step, let's say someone was right here and I swing out, now I have to readjust my crosshair all the way over here. And the enemy could be on any one of these like 6 different angles, and they only have to worry about one angle, which is the doorway you're swinging from. So instead of swinging out, exposing so much of your body and exposing yourself to 10 different angles, go through each angle and isolate it. Now obviously this does take map knowledge, but after you learn the maps just a little bit, you can do this. So instead of dying without being able to fight back, quick peek and isolate each angle. In Siege, there's a thing called peeker's advantage. It's one of the most useful things to take advantage of. And basically what that means in simple terms, whoever is moving, whoever's swinging out is going to see the person holding an angle first. And you have to keep this in mind when you're holding angles because peeker's advantage can easily be used against you. If I'm holding an angle like this right up against a door and I'm exposing too much of my body, when someone swings this doorway, because of peeker's advantage and because of perspective, they're going to see me first. So what you want to do is back up from the door and hold a much tighter angle so that you expose much less of your body and give yourself much more time to react, which is going to cause you to have much better aim. A lot of people think that they lost a gunfight because they had bad aim, when it really came to how you prepped yourself before the gunfight. If you're holding a bad angle, exposing too much of yourself, allowing the enemy to swing on you, obviously you're going to have bad aim because you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. So never be right up against your cover when you're holding an angle, and don't expose too much of your body because once you see them swing, you can then swing out and then it's going to be an even gunfight, making it easier to aim. If you feel you improved from this video or you enjoyed the video, consider